Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your host, Crander Q, a.k.a. my real name. Welcome back for another episode. We have our good friend here, Rob Page. And as always, make sure you check out our Twitter, our Facebook. We've got merch now. We're getting pretty good at this. I even got my ugly face on a t-shirt. Yep, I'm like a Russian doll. I'm so full of myself. As well as check out our sponsors, Superior Creations on Facebook at Superior Creations it's not .com, excuse me, Facebook, Superior Creations MN. We've got Darius there as well. But again, your WrestlePalooza champion and our sponsor, Darren Corbin. Check him out on all social medias as well as his Patreon, starting at just $1. And Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Well, I am perfect. First interview in a while. I've got a few pre-recorded that I put out last week. Beard's looking good, so I am ready to roll. So
excellent.
And there is a fly in this room, people who are watching, if I start swatting or screaming, because it's been bugging me for the last 15 minutes. But yeah, we'll just dive into it. Rob, what got you into wrestling? Was it the TV? Was it magazines? Did you see something somewhere that caught your eye?
So my very first memory of pro wrestling was Sting versus Ric Flair, Clash of the Champions 1. That's the first match I remember seeing. And then probably WrestleMania 6, I think it was the first pay-per-view I remember watching. So it was always TV. Always TV. My dad would watch AWA on Channel 9 local here to Minneapolis. I found all the other channels growing up, and I just loved it. Loved it.
So after you saw that first thing with Sting and Flair there, did you dive more into the schedule of wrestling? Did your dad help you find it? How did you get your content back in the day?
I literally just started, so I think it was around like 6, 7. I figured out that wrestling was on at like 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let me just flip through the channels. I don't know what channel it's on, but I know it's on. So I just started flipping through channels, and I eventually found TBS.
Okay.
So that was like Main Event or whatever it was in the morning. And then I would flip around because I knew it was on again. So I'd just start flipping channels, and then I found Wrestling Challenge on Channel 9 or 4 or whatever it was. Then I found AWA on Channel 9. So I eventually I was just like, okay, from like 8 to 11 o'clock in the morning, wrestling is on. And I found the channels, I wrote down the channels, and I would just watch.
I was lucky enough that my grandpa watched it back in the day, so he knew what channel it was on. And we always happened to go out there on a Monday because I first discovered it by playing video games with a kid down the street, and then found out that it was real, and then it kind of evolved into when I found it on TV. But Grandpa would let me sit in the spare bedroom and watch WCW Nitro, and then I found out about Raw just by happening to click through the channels like you did. So, besides Sting and Flair, were there any characters that really got your attention and got you excited?
So, I'm an older wrestling fan.
Yeah, me too.
Hulk Hogan. You know, 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. Hulk Hogan, biggest star in wrestling. Like, you love him. Like, that's all there is to it. Ultimate Warrior's face paint. And obviously, at 6, I had no idea that Sting and the Warrior were a tag team. I was just like, oh, these guys both look awesome. They got the bright colors. They're both huge. They're cool. Jake Roberts, I always found him to just be so, like, fascinating. And I actually really liked Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude. Which is mind-boggling. I think it was because they said they were from Minnesota, which obviously they were. But I always enjoyed them, and I was just like, they're bad guys, but I really like them.
Yeah, definitely with Rick Rude and Henning, I learned to love them a little bit later down the wrestling circuit. But for me as well, face paint wrestlers were always the ones that I liked. Goldust, Sting. I discovered more, I guess it would be the Crow Sting during that time versus the Surfer Sting when I went back and watched. But Yeah, definitely WCW. I've talked to Darren and other people, who've been on this thing. Is like WCW was my jam. I didn't know much about WWF till, I started seeing more of the Stone Cold T-shirts and the DX T-shirts, and I was like, well, what's that?
Mhm.
Did you prefer WCW to the AWA, or were you more
I was a
with the
WCW kid.
WCW kid?
Yeah,
Seems like a lot of
loved
people
it.
I asked were WCW kids.
I
So
loved it. I loved it, and like all my friends growing up were WWF fans, so I was always the weirdo, but I love WCW.
I always had to go against the grain because same with when it comes to sports, I always had to like somebody else
Mhm.
that someone didn't like because I didn't want to be a bandwagon fan. Like everyone in my family's a Packer fan. Well, I had to be different. I wanted to be, a different team. And everybody liked the Stone Colds, the Rocks. I liked Hogan. I always loved Hollywood Hogan.
Mhm.
But like I always liked Disco Inferno. So now like it's a running joke. What were your feelings on Disco back in the day? I loved him. I thought he was great. So
Back in the day, he was fine.
mhm.
I was lucky enough in 2004 to actually work with Disco Inferno,
Oh, okay, okay,
and now he's just Disco Inferno.
gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah, Clark and I were talking about how he got to drive Glacier around. That was another one that I thought was really cool. So
Lucky some bitch.
that is definitely one action figure Funko Pop. I said it on the previous podcast that I would buy, and I think we were on an online auction. I think it was you or someone else that gave me a hard time because I spent $25 on one of his 8x10 promos, and everybody's like, "You overpaid." I just
No,
like the guy.
I don't think it was me because I
Yeah,
love the obscure.
yeah.
The
So,
more obscure, the better.
and
Sign
those were,
me up.
yep, yeah, they were definitely some characters back in the day. Like, I just saw the Yeti one popped up because it's Halloween, time. The Was it the Dungeon of Doom? Is that what they were called with
Yep,
Kevin Sullivan? Yep, yep.
yep.
I always thought he was interesting. The Giant was one of my favorites because he was so big. And then they mentioned Andre was his dad, so I had to find out who his dad was. And
Hmm.
obviously, we know that was a lie. I don't want to use wrestling terms because I'm not in the business, but
Right. I
you know,
always
I,
loved Wrath. I always
okay,
loved Wrath and Mortis. I thought they were so cool.
gotcha. What was the one guy too? It was like the generic Ultimate Warrior
Oh, the Renegade.
Renegade. Yep, yep. I
Yeah.
thought he was kind of cool, and then
Whew.
I didn't know any better back then.
No, hey, me neither. But even then, I was just like, oof, oof. Okay.
Yeah. And the cruiserweights were always my favorite too, and they
Oh,
always seem to have so many different ones. The Benoit, you had Eddie, Chris. I love Chavo, Prince Ikea. Or
Rey
uh,
Mysterio, obviously.
Rey
Everybody.
Mysterio. Yep, yep. Can't forget the
Psychosis, La
Yep,
Parka.
yep. I like Laparca too because in the video games he always had a chair, so I'd always pick him or Sting because Sting had the baseball bat in the N64 game.
I
So.
did find it funny that if you were La Parka in that N64 game,
Mhm.
if you went to the outside, the only weapon that you would pull out is a chair.
Oh, okay, that
Kind of
makes
like
sense.
Sting.
Okay,
Like
whereas the
you
other
could
ones
only
get sort of
grab the baseball bat from the crowd. I believe you could only grab the chair for La Parka.
gotcha. Huh.
Whereas everybody else, you could grab like 2x4s and stop signs and garbage
Stop
cans.
signs. Yeah, yeah. That was definitely segue into the video games. I guess like the No Mercy, the WrestleMania 2000, and the NWO versus WCW. Those were some great games. I remember just making Hogan like champ of everything, and then I had to find him a tag team partner. So I was like, well, I'll just use like a creative character that looks like Hogan. I don't know. It's how your brain works as a kid. You just find something and then latch onto it. So
Right. Yeah. Give me WCW Thunder with the cut screens,
okay,
like the pick me screens. Oh, just awful.
gotcha,
Loved
gotcha,
it.
nice. Yeah, I've kind of fell out of video games there too, like I've
Me
mentioned
too.
before. But like the old ones, I'm stuck on the old Xbox. Um, I was talking with another person on here about Raw 2 game and the things that I would
Oh, on the
create.
original Raw too, on the original Xbox. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Like
Where you could drag out your entrance for like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That was great
so
about the
good.
Xbox is because you could put like your CDs on there too. So
Mm-hmm.
like your music that you listen to on the CD and stuff or radio and stuff, you could put that in there and then have that for your entrance music.
It was so good. That was the
And I had
best thing about that game.
hmm I had I think it was Ozfest 2001 sampler disc, and
Okay.
Ozzy was doing it was a live CD.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking, so I gave my guy a microphone and it lined up just perfect. And I was like, "Yep, I'm really good at creating this."
Yeah, because you could
Yep.
literally time everything down to
hmm
the second.
Yep. Yeah.
It was so good. Like that's something we could get off into a whole nother tangent in this,
Oh yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
something that could easily be brought back, and it would be awesome.
Yeah. Eventually, some of the guys that I've talked about doing like live streams of the old video games, but that's where I'd probably be like, well, that's more your thing. I know Clark does it. He
Yeah,
was playing Star Wars the other day, and I was like, well, I have that game on the Xbox. I'm going to take out the old Madden and throw that in, so. But I might have to definitely kick out some of those wrestling games now. So.
but yeah. So going back to your original question, also the 1-2-3 Kid
Oh, yep.
about people that I really like because I'm not a big guy,
hmm
I'm real small, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, this guy's not very big. I like
hmm
him. Like he's awesome. Like he beat Razor Ramon for crying out loud.
Right. R.I.P.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Yeah. That one. Ooh.
mm,
Yeah. That one hurts the heart a little bit.
yep.
Yeah. Sean Waldman, 1-2-3 Kid, Xbox 6, whatever you knew him as.
Mm-hmm.
Like, definitely. In my opinion, another guy that just kind of gets looked over, but has done tremendous things for the business. I've kind of had a high and low on, if I was a fan or not a fan because of some shows I went to and some stuff. But
Sure.
the last few that I've seen him on, he's just been 5 stars, super great. He's got Lulu with him and just leaps and bounds from when I met him the first time at a Heavy on Wrestling show. And um, I would definitely love to get him, I see he was doing some GCW stuff to see him, just even work like some of the NXT guys just for a couple things, just to
Right.
get that. He doesn't need a title. He doesn't need a, big spot. Just, put some young kid over and get out there and get that last match that he's been looking for. So,
And he should be a guy that's doing like some producing somewhere,
yeah. hmm
especially with this current style of wrestling. He just he fits that bill 100%. He should have a job somewhere making people better wrestlers.
Yeah. And I know like those three, like Nash and Hall and, that whole clique area,
Mm-hmm.
they are, they probably get a lot of crap and, they ruin the business. Well, not really because they have a mind for it. You always hear them talking about how things could be better and it actually
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And when I met Hall, I don't know, like the third time, I think, down in Tampa at WrestleCon,
Okay.
somebody had mentioned Sean, and then I happened to be next in line just to come up and say hi and talk to him for a little bit because there was no one there really.
Mm-hmm.
And he just went on like a 3-minute tangent about how happy he was for Sean and, just a whole different level that I've ever met a wrestler. And I treasure that memory now that he's gone. But just seeing him lighting up talking about Sean Waltman was pretty special. And I think all those guys could honestly give so much to the business, Nash and Waltman. So,
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, we know where
mhm.
the other two that are around still.
Yep.
We know where they're at and what they're
Yep.
doing. So
Yeah. It's crazy how they went from was it called the curtain call to almost being, the top 4 guys or minds in the business backstage
mm-hmm.
now. So it's kind of funny how the world works sometimes. So,
Yep.
but back to kind of what got you into it. Was there any other wrestlers that really stuck out to you? Did you buy their merch specifically, or?
When I got into my mid-teens, I became a really big fan of Triple H actually,
Okay.
and so I didn't grow up with the best. Uh, I wasn't. I was poor essentially. So I didn't get to go to live wrestling until I finally got a job. I went to my first show in 2000. So
Okay.
been a fan for, at that point, 10 years, I would say.
Okay.
So I didn't go to my first show until 2000. Triple H was on that show. I bought his shirt. That was the first merch that I bought by myself, like first T-shirt that I bought.
Gotcha.
With my own money.
Yeah, I think the first one I ever got was an NWO shirt, or not NWO shirt, Hollywood Hogan NWO shirt. And my brother was making fun of me the whole time, and they wouldn't let me shop because they wanted to go look at all the other things. And I'm the youngest. It's like dragging me around the Mall of America. Like, I don't want to look at stupid hats. I don't want to go look at, CD players. I sound so old now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go buy my wrestling shirt. Can we go back to that store? Yeah, we'll get there. And then luckily we saw one of the vendor booths in the middle of the thing, and I was able to get, my Hollywood Hogan shirt. But yeah.
Yeah, so Triple H would have been the other big guy that I really enjoyed.
Okay. Now, when you say you saw him the first time, was that more the game versus the Butler? I just want to make sure I got the timeline right.
So I obviously saw him as the Blue Blood, but the first time I got to see him in person was the game.
Okay.
Right,
I just want to make sure I'm on the right timeline.
Yeah.
Be
right
kind
in
of
the
funny.
middle of his big run.
Okay, big, walking out there with the, the Blue Blood shirt, that'd be some iconic wrestling merch. But
yeah, no, it was the I Am the Game shirt.
Gotcha. So once you said you got the job, you started going to events. Now, I know, but a lot of people not watching don't know you are a ref in the Minnesota and extended area.
Yep.
Now, is that what gravitated you towards going to do that, or was it something else that kind of pulled you into that?
So I always wanted to do wrestling.
Okay.
Like, obviously. I think a lot of people who watch it from a young age for a long time are probably like, oh, that'd be really fun to do. My best friend at the time and me, we're going to fast forward now to 2002.
Okay.
Me and my best friend, we were going to a video store. Look it up, kids. Video stores. And we went to this video store in my hometown, and the owner of the video store happened to be former WCW Cruiserweight Champion Lenny Lane.
Okay.
So me and my buddy were kind of freaking out. We were like, "Well, this is awesome," and like he was super receptive to us, just kind of being giant wrestling dorks.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd go up there, and he was just like, "Yeah, come on up and talk whenever you guys want." And we were like, "This is the best." So fast forward to about, I want to say this is like November of 2002. We go up there and we're just like, "Hey man, like, how do if we wanted to do this, how would we do this?" So he was just like, here's the phone number. Call this guy and tell him that you talked to Lenny Lane. And that guy was Eddie Sharkey.
Okay.
A lot of people may or may not know who Eddie Sharkey trained. You could easily look up that list, and it is a mile long of Hall of Famers and legends. So we called him up and we were like, "Hey, we're interested in training." And he was like, "Sure, come on out to this camp in St. Louis Park." And me and my buddy were in. We went in, and that's how it started.
So we normally don't talk about like the wrestling careers too much on here because I always say that's another podcast, like we said in the opening here. You're discussing off camera. Now your best friend. Now, did he have a run in wrestling, or is he still in wrestling?
He made it for about 3 years.
Okay.
3.5 years or so.
Gotcha.
And then like some personal stuff came up for him, and it didn't click for him.
So if my math is correct, then you would be in almost 20 years then.
April is 20 years.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then Cannon, I think he said he was at 21 to show off. He got a T-shirt and stuff.
Yep. He's at 21.
Yeah, you need a T-shirt, sir.
Unlikely. Unlikely. I'm
I'll
not
tell
a
him.
merch guy, and
Yeah.
that's for everybody else.
I mean, I just have hats and T-shirts just because I want to feel cool. My dad owned a business, so I always like to just slam it back at him and be like, "Look, I got my face on a thing too." So, but oh, excuse me, that was really weird. Lost my train of thought because I thought I was choking. So when you got into it, what was it that kind of kept you going? Now, were you training to be as a ref, or were you training as a wrestler? Where were you going in that direction?
So I originally started to train as a wrestler.
Okay.
A lot of people may or may not know that. But I figured out that I wasn't very good at it.
Okay.
I just couldn't get certain things down, and I was like, I am so frustrated with this, but I don't want to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to my trainer, a guy by the name of Terry Fox, and I was like, listen, I can't do the wrestling portion. Can I be like a manager? And he was like, I'll be honest, I'm going to train you how to be a wrestler if I'm going to train you how to be a manager. So that's ridiculous. I was like, okay, well, that sucks. As we just talked about, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, do you want to ref? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll give it a try. And I found that I really enjoyed it, actually.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I never knew that you were started out as a wrestler and then transitioned into that. I mean, I don't know much about you. I'm sure we've seen each other a lot over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the jerk in the front row with my signs and talking smack, always yelling out, Rob Page owes me money, even though he doesn't owe me money. Spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody else said that at another show, and I just kept it going.
Yep.
And, I like to boo boo Clark a lot. I boo you, no offense.
That's
That's my character. But no, I just like having fun. You guys are always cordial to me. You've been super great to me over the years. You sign my posters. You give me high fives. So, we do appreciate you out there. So we won't get too much into the reffing thing. We'll get back into your love of professional wrestling. So now, as you got older, was there anything you collected after getting that first T-shirt?
action figures.
Okay.
That's definitely something I've collected a lot more recently.
Mm-hmm.
The world shut down for a
Yeah.
good stretch of time.
Yeah.
And it gave me a lot of time to sit and think about some really cool things I've done
Mm-hmm.
in wrestling. So the thing that I've started was, why don't I get a collection of people that I've refed with over the years?
That's
I stole that idea blatantly from Brian Myers from the
I like it.
Major Wrestling Figure podcast. He was like, I want to have a wall of people that I've wrestled, and I was like, well, that's actually a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't write any names down of people who I've worked with, but I actually have a really solid collection of people now over the last 2+ years.
Okay. Well, let's have you name drop a few. I like when people name drop because I do it all the
time. Well, let me look at my wall here. Probably the most prominent name that I've refed with, a couple of the most prominent names are Cody.
Okay.
I refed with AJ Styles.
Oh, okay.
And that was 2004. Claudio.
Okay, yep.
Seth Rollins.
Oh, yep.
Let me think of some other prominent names. MJF.
Oh, yep. Yep. Good old MJF. Yep.
Sabu.
Oh, okay.
Gold Dust, one of your favorites.
Was that at the Black Bear Casino one?
That was at the Black Bear Casino one.
Yep.
And then if we're gonna go with some current names, I've worked with Lance Archer, Lance Hoyt, whatever they call him.
Yep. I like Lance.
Ari Davari, obviously.
I love Davari.
Obviously, I've done a ton of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Swerve Strickland, Dewdrop, Shotzi, Chad Gable.
Oh, Chad Gable. Yep.
A ton of his stuff. Ruby Soho, Orange Cassidy.
Whatever.
So, like,
Yeah, that's pretty
and
cool.
those are just
Yep.
the carded ones that I'm literally looking right at,
Mm-hmm.
right in front
Yep.
of me. I have a whole other ring of people that are
Nice.
just, it's madness when I think about it.
It's got to be pretty cool just to think you're looking at like an action figure on your wall and be like, huh, I've worked with that person.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me, it's like when I go through and like, look at action figures or stuff, old stuff, I'm like, met that guy, met him, met him, met him, so that's always fun.
And like the idea of doing that came from those auctions that we were doing together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was going to try and do 8x10s. And then I was like, that might be a little bit of a challenge.
Yep.
Let's transition.
And you're probably like me too, whereas like you have something of a certain style or, and you're like, oh, I got this black and white one. Well, now I got a colored one. It's like, well, I wanted all black and white. And it just, I'm OCD with that kind of stuff. Like I only collect Davari. I got a bunch of Darren merch from being on the Patreon, which you can get for starting at $1. As well as Cannon. And then Otis, because he's out of Superior, Wisconsin here. You've heard me talk about him all the time on the auctions, and stuff. But I don't really collect anything except for those guys. I always try to find everything Davari now because it's was licensed by WWE. I still have a 1-of-1 card of his that I got, and I been trying to get it signed, but he never comes out at the first wrestling shows because we usually leave right away. So I'm sure if I hung out a little longer, I could get it snagged. But I'm sure I'll see him again. But
sidebar, what's the 1-of-1 card that you got?
It's like a plate.
You got a printing plate?
Yeah, I got it for like $5. I was like, sucker. That's for me, it's like $1 million. For that person, like finally unloaded this damn card.
So I have a 1-of-1 Cesaro printing plate.
That's nice.
And like to me, that's like the coolest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like the little T-shirt like cut out or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
it's an even cooler one because it's like tri-colored.
Nice.
It's
yeah, I think I had one of Goldust too that I bought from a buddy because he was trying to order some other stuff and he was selling some stuff in order to get stuff. My buddy Nick, he's from like the Seymour, down by Green Bay somewhere. I can't remember exactly the city. I think it's Seymour, but he does cosplay for Goldust.
Okay.
And he's met Goldust, Dustin more times than I can count, and more times than I get jealous every time. Like he was on that TV show they had. That was like Jackass.
Yeah.
Dustin actually pied him in the face. Yeah, he pied him in the face for that. He got invited backstage when he was all dressed up.
Awesome.
He actually made big headlines because he switched from doing Dustin and did a Corbin. Baron, not to be confused with Darren.
Darren's younger brother.
Yep, and the internet went crazy for that story. So he got like all this publicity for just switching to being a Baron Corbin cosplayer. So eventually, I hope to get Nick on here. It'd be cool to get him in, face paint, and then do the interview that way. But yeah, I don't even know where we're going with this part of it, but yeah. I just got in a rabbit hole about Dustin.
It's all good. It's all good.
But so action figures is your main collectibles.
Yep.
We kind of talked about off camera. I want to get this in because I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. And I know you are as well. You've been blocked by Kevin Nash on Twitter. Is that still a thing?
Yep.
I'm bringing up all your faults. No, I'm kidding.
Yep.
So in that TMT line, was there any of those that you collected? I thought about getting them, but I didn't want to get into where they release series after series after series and then just have too many. So
are we talking the the current day NECA ones that they're pumping out.
Like the
Tons and tons of.
crossovers, like where Raph was Sting and
Oh, I got the
Donatello.
first set.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the first set. I got the
Okay.
complete first set.
Gotcha. I
Yep.
thought those were pretty neat, but I didn't want to get into a rabbit hole of collecting that stuff. So
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Series 2, so I was just like, you
okay,
know what? Series 1 is cool.
that's the
Especially
one where.
Raph Sting, so.
Okay, yeah. Was it Series 2 that had what was it?
I think Donatello was Ultimate Warrior or something like
Okay,
that.
yep, I got that wrote down because I couldn't remember who was who. I feel like some of the color scheme. There's that fly. Almost got him. I feel like the color schemes didn't line up with the turtles. I feel like they could have did a little bit more. Like the Rock and Raph. Like I don't see it. And I'm a huge Raph guy because growing up I had an anger issue and cool but rude was always the thing, and I'm very sarcastic. I felt like they could have used a little bit better on that, as well as Macho Man, or excuse me, Michelangelo as Piper. I felt like that would have been more of a Raph because he's red, and
Yeah.
But with licensing, I guess they're just trying to get their money's worth. But
which they did because dorks like me bought them.
So with the TMT, now I got to ask you. I said my favorite is Raph. Who's your favorite?
Leonardo.
Okay. Little fun fact for anybody listening at home or who cares in this world. I just realized, like, it was a couple months or a couple years ago, because I bought the original 4 from, like, I think it was the second production, like 1988 of them.
Yep.
On card, and that was the first time in my life that I ever owned a Leo action figure.
What?
I know, it was crazy because they have a website. I'll have to send it to you where it has like all the turtles, all the toys, and I was like, I had that one. It was Donnie, it was Mikey, it was Raph, and I never had a Leo. Crazy.
That's
so now,
madness to me.
Yeah, I had a bunch of Ninja Turtles, but I never had a Leo. So
my allegiance changed over the years, though.
Okay.
When you were younger, Mikey was my jam.
Mm-hmm.
The older I got, I was like, okay, I like Mikey's cool, and like I dig it. Mikey would probably be the one I would hang out with currently, but Leo was more my jam.
So I gotta ask you, out of the remakes, did you like the remakes when they did those newer ones, with like Megan Fox in that?
You know what? So I went into those not looking at them with 30-plus-year-old eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I went into them looking at them as like my nephews would be seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that made them a lot easier to digest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the background story of Megan Fox being their owner or whatever. Yeah. I didn't like that, but if you take it for being a Turtles movie for a young kid, they were awesome, actually.
But, yeah, I agree. I like them a lot, and I get clowned on for it, but it's 30+ years of nostalgia for me. So I thought they did good. Plus, they had tie in wrestling here. They had Sheamus as
which was great casting.
Yep,
I thought he did awesome as that.
Yeah, I just bought, and again, it's gonna sound weird because I collected the toys, but I never had like certain things. Like I didn't have a Shredder, I didn't have a Master Splinter, and I just bought my first Rocksteady action figure 2 days ago. I know, right? Like,
oh my
I call
God.
myself a fan. Like, like I have the weird ones. Like I have the Raph that was the sailor. I have the Donatello you could pull down and he would do a backflip or a cartwheel or whatever it was.
Yep. They were like moonsaults.
Yep, I have the what was it? Not spacesuit, the Air Force suit Donatello, and I'll have to find that website for you so you can go through and look at them. And then
I have a bunch now. I went back probably like 10, 12 years or so ago before prices on vintage Turtles went up because collectibles after 30 years get like more nostalgic for people. I went and bought like lots of figures and just put together full sets.
That's
now
awesome.
I have like all the originals. I have. I don't really have like. I don't have the spacesuit rafts or whatever. I don't have
Hmm.
any of those. I just have like actual characters that were in the cartoons.
Nice.
And then I've bought the sewer. I bought a complete Technodrome in the
Ooh.
last year,
Like
which
I
is
say it all the time, I got goosebumps. Like that just gave me chills. Like I am so jealous
I've
of
I
that.
never had it as a kid.
Oh man,
Never had it.
that's so
But
cool.
there's a vintage shop down here that had it, and my buddy Dave,
Hmm.
we would go in there and he'd be like, "Rob, you need to buy it." I'm like, "X amount of dollars." He's like,
Yeah.
"Do it. You can put it on. You can like make payments." I was like, "Come again?" That's what sold me when he told me that I can make payments.
That is awesome.
I was like, "All right, fine." But every like couple of weeks, we're gonna go into the store and putting money down. He was like, "Deal." And I got to
That,
bring it home like right around. I think I brought it home in like March.
okay, that's
But it
dope,
was a pretty hefty penny, but it was complete.
man. You'll have to send me pictures of that.
I'll send you pictures of it when we're
That is
done with this.
awesome. That is, oh
I'll send
man,
you pictures of my little setup because I have a complete sewer. I got Technodrome. I
that is
got
so cool.
the the van. I got the blimp.
Oh jeez.
I'll send you pictures. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited for that today, or whenever you get them to me. So this is a wrestling podcast, but I love
Yep.
Ninja Turtles. I love Jurassic Park. But back to the Turtles real quick, and then we can get off the subject. But I just bought last year. I bought when Walmart released the newer ones, and then
Mhm.
I have the 1988 ones.
Mhm.
Then I found some. I don't even know what year they are, but because I was so tempted, like, do I open them? Do I keep them on card? Do I keep them on card? And then I was thinking, because now this is where I'm going with the story, is I've seen that people are taking VHS tapes
Yep.
and getting them graded.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, are people getting action figures graded
Oh
that are
God,
mint
yeah.
on card?
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I should do that with the older ones and then just
Do
open these $25 Walmart ones.
do the old. If you're gonna get them graded,
Mhm.
grade the older ones.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I kind of want them open and I don't want them open because I want to do like a weird setup where I have the VHS tapes in the background and then just
Mm.
kind of make it like a little layer type thing, because I don't want to get too deep into buying stuff because.
So the problem with the newer ones that just came out like last
Mhm.
year or whatever is that the colors are completely off.
Okay,
And I'll send you some pictures of that too,
gotcha,
and you
gotcha.
can
Okay,
easily figure out which ones are which.
yeah, because I have a Bebop action figure, but it's missing one of its forearms. I'm kind of bummed, so I still need to get one of him, and then I can, put the VHS tapes. I'm gonna steal your line here. Look it up, kids. But then put um, the action figures with the movies. But I didn't want to open the 1988 ones. But
Mm-mm.
I'm really thinking about maybe just going to get those graded because they are in pretty decent shape, and then maybe if this nostalgia kick carries on for a couple
It
decades,
will.
you know
It will. Nostalgia
that.
is like so. I was not to go off on too big of a tangent, but I was listening to like a podcast probably a year or so ago, and a guy who's really big into like collectibles and like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff was there's a 30-year rule on nostalgia. So anything 30 years or older is coming back into style. So people are going to be buying these things up and the prices are just going to keep going up on that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So get in while you can.
Yeah, because I've noticed too. Like I'll see some of these. Like there's the guy down in Florida that sells them right out of his storage unit. I can't think of his
Gabby?
name. Yep, my buddy actually got some stuff from him a while back. There's the flag again. Um, but it's like he pulls out like an action figure, and you see the little Kmart thing on there. It says
Mm-hmm.
$5.99,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go look at Walmart, and it's like $23. Like $23 for an action figure?
Yep.
Like how do kids play with toys when they're
Mm-mm.
20 some dollars? Like, you know.
Yep.
But I feel like that's the collecting that kind of skyrocketed those. Same with sports cards. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I buy a card for $2 and they want to charge me $9 for shipping. I'm like, you're not shipping gold.
Mm-mm.
Just send me the damn card in an envelope. I don't care if it gets a little banged up. It's just a common dollar card.
Yeah.
But It ain't Tom Brady's rookie card, so.
No. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know where we're going anymore.
I got so
We're off
excited
the
about Ninja
rails.
Turtles and Dustin, and then we can just jump back on track here. Let's just throw out a few wrestling questions, and then we'll
Sure.
get you out of here. So who have you enjoyed working with the most in the wrestling business? And who maybe have you hated? Doesn't have to be like real hate. It could be like, I know you and Darren Corbin, you're always shaking your finger at him, or, that type of hate. It doesn't have to be real hate. So we can do character. So
Yeah. Okay, good.
keep it drama free here at the Friends of the Squared Circle. So
When it comes to guys I've enjoyed working with, I would probably say my boy, recently departed Playboy Pete Huge.
yep.
Uh, he is always so much fun to work with. Always a blast to be in the ring with. Cannon, just
Yep.
easy to work with. So much fun. Also, and when it comes to people I quote unquote don't like working with, Corbin, he's a real piece of garbage. real piece of trash. Real jerk.
He'll love that.
Real jerk.
I'm not sure if he watches, but if he does, he'll love that. So
Yeah. No, he's just a jerk.
yeah, you three are definitely a staple there at First Wrestling. We love plugging First Wrestling here. Now I gotta show off this photo. You had it on Twitter. I hope you don't mind me showing, but this is a beauty thing. Again, you guys need to get these out there for everybody because you guys definitely killed it that night. Huge props to you guys. Again, we love you guys. You guys do a hell of a job there too. You don't get enough recognition.
It was a long night for me.
I bet. Any quick thoughts on that Saturday night Nitro that you could, share with us behind the curtain, as people would say?
So I don't know how much you'll like this, but I remember me and Cannon were talking going into the show, and he was like, "What would you like to do at the show?" And legitimately, the only thing I wanted to do was one match on the main show because I knew he wanted me to do commentary, and that's why it was such a long night for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "Well, what if we did a couple of dark matches or a dark match, and then we could get you there. You could do the opener, and then you can go and do commentary the rest of the show." I was like, "If that's what you want me to do," he's like, "No, if that's what you want to do." So we ended up doing that, and it literally ended up being Cannon Corbin as the first match on the actual show itself. And it really couldn't be any better because I was throwing this stat around the locker room that night, is that on the actual show, First Wrestling's been around since April of 2007 as an actual promotion. Everybody knows about the WrestlePaloozas, but we did shows before WrestlePalooza also. From that first show to the most recent show, there were only 6 people involved in that show who were on the original show.
Oh, okay.
And that was Cannon, Corbin, here we go, myself, Ryan Cruz, Colt Cabana, and our old commentary guy by the name of Mortimer Plumtree.
Okay.
He now does some other stuff for us, but he was there. So there were 6 people from that very first show that were involved in the most recent show, and it was really fun to know that I was in the ring with 2 of those other people.
And now you're part of history, sir. If there's never another one there, you were there, you were part of it. No one can take that from you. And
I was one of 5 referees that have ever reffed at the mall.
That's a statistic you should be proud of. I would be bragging to the hilltops if I were you. I mean, I'm somewhat humble, but I'm also a consistent breaker. You know, just like I, won the 2018 Vegas championship here. No big deal. He carried me. I still get, my name on the trophy. So
Fair enough.
but,
Fair enough.
they don't. My friends don't really listen to this. Yeah.
No, so again, there was another match, 2 matches before the show started,
Mm-hmm.
and before we went out, I was just like, "Hey guys, just know this. Like, you guys are the first 2 wrestlers that have wrestled in this place since 1995. Like, yeah, you're not on the main show, but you're
Mm-hmm.
on the show. You're the
Yep.
first 2 guys that have been seen in a wrestling ring at the Mall of America in 27 years. So that's pretty effing cool, dudes.
Yep. That was Big Opossum and Kyle Pearl, correct?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know too much about either of those guys because usually they're on some of the other shows. I usually just go to the Paloozas and stuff. But the Beyonce Randy Take a Shot, it's a new thing on the show. Whereas she was like, well, isn't it the mom that has the young? I'm like, I don't know a thing about possums. So
Listen, just go with it. All right.
yeah, so, and she gets super annoyed at me every time I bring up Atomic Super Thunder Frog because I think he's just hilarious.
He's the best.
Yep, especially when he's rocked up, So,
Wow, Ian.
Yep, we love Thunder Frog here, yeah. So
who doesn't?
yeah, if they don't, then they don't deserve.
I'm not friends with them.
Yep, exactly. They don't deserve happiness. Yeah. So, not to keep this too long, get you out of here. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Anything you want to throw out there? And if you have any socials, we can put those in the description here when I post it to YouTube, which will probably be tonight or tomorrow. So,
well, first Wrestling's got a couple of shows coming up October 23rd.
I forgot all about that. Right here, there we are.
I believe I will be at those shows. I'm not 100% positive at this point in time. I know we have a show in November at the Uptown VFW.
That's always a fun venue too.
Totally blanking on the date. I know it's at the end of November though. That's
I think it was 27th
if
I remember right. So.
Okay, I'm gonna go with it because I'm really bad at that.
I hope I'm right.
Post-production, put the graphic in.
Yeah, somewhere. I know. I finally got approval from Canon. That's why I'm going to start promoting the posters on there. Because everybody at First Wrestling has been great, so they let me do this, with sponsors or whatever they are. But go ahead, sorry.
But they're the only ones that I'm really doing any reffing with currently.
Okay.
Battleground is on a little bit of a hiatus right now.
Okay.
They're working on getting their own ring and doing some other stuff like that. So we're kind of on a little bit of a hiatus for that. And otherwise, no, you can find me at Referee Rob Page on Twitter.
Okay.
I believe I'm also Referee Rob Page on Instagram. You can find me Rob Page on Facebook. Yeah, that's really all I got.
Alrighty.
Plugs of myself.
Alrighty. Well, I do appreciate you coming on, Rob, taking some time with me here. I've been a fan of, all you guys and gals there. And, I love to give everybody, hard time. So hopefully I know you don't take it personally. Otherwise, you would agree to come on here. It's just my way to have fun at wrestling shows. But as we say, I appreciate you and thank you for being a friend of the Squared Circle and appreciate it. And I'll do my quick little outro here and then I'll meet you back in the lounge there.
Okay.
All right. All right, there we are. Everybody already knows I've got the merch. You should PM me, DM me, whatever you kids do, tweet me. You can find us on Twitter at _FOTSC. Yes, I still have to read that off, so don't mess it up. We got T-shirts now. You don't need to buy one if you're poor or if you feel like supporting me. We got Darren Corbin on our custom tumblers. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a friend of the Squared Circle. And as always, Crander Q out.